$8,454,427.17. That's right, over $8 million. That's how much a streamer that goes by the name XQC made between August 2019 and October 2021. How do I know that? Because of the Twitch leak. About a week ago, someone hacked Twitch and leaked this information. Not only how much XQC made, but at least 100 other top earning Twitch creators. We're going to be going over the fallout, the numbers, and the peoples in this episode of J.A.R.R.E.D Talks. What up and welcome to J.A.R.R.E.D Talks. My name is Jared and today I am just a really envious dude, or am I? Because today we're talking about the Twitch leak, and because I am a Twitch streamer, I figure I'd put my 2 cents in on the subject. By the way, if you're listening to this on iTunes or Spotify or one of the many others, Overcast, Pocket Cast, all these kind of places, and you'd like to watch this podcast live and join in on the discussion, you can click the link in the description or go to twitch.tv/The J.A.R.R.E.D Show and jump right in. Maybe you haven't heard, or maybe you don't know some of the numbers, but about a week ago, someone leaked how much the top 100 streamers on Twitch made over the last 2 years. Just from the payout from Twitch, okay? So these numbers do not include endorsements or deals. There has been some fallout. There's been some confusion. There's been a lot of things happening around the leak over the past week or so, and I'd love to get into it with you. So let's jump right in. So first, let's go over the numbers. As you can see over here, okay, move around a little bit. As you can see over here, if you're watching on Twitch, it's XQC at 8.4 million. You have Ludwig, who is, let's see, I think Ludwig is the 6th. XQC is the second one. You have Critical Role, which is a group of people that do like productions and shows and all that. We're just going, I think, with each individual. So you have Ludwig, who is 6th. You have XQC, who is 2nd. Ludwig made 3.2 million. You have Hassan at 2.8 million. You have Asmon Gold at 2.5 million. You have Tyler 1 at 2.4 million. Moist Critical at 2.1 million. Mizkip at 2.1. Shroud at 2 mil. Aiden Ross at 1.8 million. Pokimane at 1.5 million, Soda Poppin at 1.4, Amaranth at 1.3 million, S-Fan at 1.1, Tubbo at 1 million, and Kit Kaboga, I think is how you say it, at 900,000. And the list goes on. It goes on just listing some of the ones I know. Maybe you know a lot of these people. Maybe not Kit Kaboga. We're going to get into that in just a minute. But the list goes on. There's 100 people. And as you can see, if you're watching on Twitch, it's over here. All of the different, the numbers of who is what and where. Yeah, very interesting. I want to get into each streamer just a little bit. Because I do stream on Twitch, and obviously I've never met any of these people. I'm just a little peon on Twitch, but yeah, I do watch Twitch. I have watched Twitch. I've watched, I think, every single one of these people. So a little bit. I know a little bit about each one. XQC at the top the top individual earning spot at 8.5. I really, to be honest with you, I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody or glorify anybody as we go through some of these, but XQC I don't really understand. Very interesting, to say the least. I think he maybe resonates on a different level that I don't understand. And as I said, Critical Role, which is number one, is a group of people, and they put on like productions and those kind of things. But XQC, I guess, has a lot of people. We're gonna get a little deeper into XQC a little bit later on. I gotta say, I'm not a great big fan. I have watched XQC from time to time. I prefer to go in the way of probably number 6, which would be Ludwig. I think I get this one a little bit more. Ludwig is funny. He's extremely entertaining. He's educational. I've seen a lot of his stuff. I've actually watched some of his YouTube videos where he's talking about streaming, and I think Ludwig has the potential to be like the motivational aspect of things. Plus, he's highly entertaining. They come up with all kinds of different skits, all kinds of different things. The house that they all live in, his girlfriend, Cutie Cinderella, all these people, seems like a decent group of people. Maybe not my type of people at the end of the day, but definitely worth tuning into. And then again, I forget what month it was, but he streamed for a month straight. And I have a feeling that's probably, they called it the subathon. He just never turned his camera off for about a month straight. And that's probably why he made so much money. Next, I think we have Hassan, which has got a lot of backlash. And I actually did watch his stream since all this has gone on. Hassan had a lot of backlash. He has been proclaimed, not self-proclaimed, but proclaimed to be a communist of sorts, or at the very least a socialist. I watched his stream to see where he was at. I was hoping that he would say a definitive, like, this is what I believe and this is what I want and that kind of stuff. He did a lot of defending himself. He had a lot of people in his chat room. On average, I think Hassan pulls about 40,000 people or so. Ludwig pulls roughly 20 to 25, whereas XQC regularly pulls about 80 to 120,000. On average, you can see it anywhere from 60 to 100,000 people in his chat and watching and these kind of things. I did watch Hassan. He just kept saying he was a leftist. And I'm not quite sure exactly what that meant to Hassan, like what he believes and what he's got going on. Very interesting though, and he's received a lot of backlash because he is a socialist. From what a lot of like Fox News, mainly mainstream media outlets are talking about, he bought a $3 million house in the Hollywood Hills, and has received some backlash. I think mostly outside of Twitch, like Twitter, these kind of places. My guess is Hassan's gonna be okay. I don't think he's gonna have a big problem. I think we'll get into the repercussions of things a little bit later. Next, I think you have Asmont Gold. Very rarely have I watched the guy. He is a hardcore gamer from what I've seen. Seems like a nice guy. He made a video about the backlash that he had received. And he was talking about what he does with his money, the fact that he is going to be he is currently taking care of his mom right now, who I think is in some stages of dementia, from what I understand. And He just seems like a normal dude that streams and apparently makes a lot of money. I mean, from what I understand, he made 2.5 million, but that was over 2 years. So I mean, he's doing okay for sure. The next one is Tyler One. I've watched him rarely, maybe a handful of times. Really, the only thing I know about Tyler One is that dude is jacked. He's huge. He is a huge dude. Somebody you probably not want to fuck with. And from what I've seen, he's really hyped all the time. And he ended up with, I think, 2.4 is what it is. The one after that is Moist Critical. Gotta say, I'm not a great big fan of Moist Critical. He seems a little whiny to me, so I'm not, just don't really watch him very much. He's very interesting, I think, in his hot takes and the way he presents information and these kind of things. Not a big fan of the whole Twitch Jesus idea. Don't really care for that. So I don't really watch him a whole lot. People after that is Mizkiv. Again, somebody I feel who is extremely whiny, borderline annoying. But he seems to have a lot of fans and a strong follower base. So I saw recently that him and his girlfriend broke up, Maya. I think without jumping into that whole fucking snake pit, I think those two people happen to be going in different directions. It seems like Mizkiff wanted to kind of play and mess around and kind of skate through life, and Maya was going in a different direction, and she's also a streamer. She also makes a decent amount of money. I don't think she was on this list, but she started a non-profit organization and all kinds. Like, she's on a whole different level. So I'm definitely Team Maya, not Team Mizkiff, but yeah, Mizkiff doing his thing at 2.1 million. Guy's not hurting for sure. Next is Shroud, which I thought was interesting because Shroud is, from what I understand, a mentor or somebody that Ludwig looks up to. I've watched his stream rarely. He seems, I think he's an old school streamer. I think he's been streaming probably, 10 years or so, almost 10 years, maybe 8 or 9 years. He's like the old head. He's the OG of streaming, and I think a lot of people looked up to him, and probably Ninja and a couple other people. So yeah, I feel like Shroud, I think it's interesting. Shroud's at 2 million. I thought Shroud might be a little higher because of his reputation and the kind of people he pulls and that kind of stuff, but interesting. After that would be Aiden Ross. I know that there was a big controversy between Ludwig and Aiden Ross. Aiden was kind of a new up-and-comer kind of thing. I've watched him maybe twice. Seems kind of not my style. Don't really identify with that guy very much. Don't know, don't care, pretty much is basically the idea. I think after that is Pokimane. We're going to talk a little bit more about Pokimane later on. Pokimane is one of my quote-unquote mentors. When I first started streaming, I saw a lot of what Pokimane is doing off-stream in the business area and how she manages a lot of what she's doing and what she's created and what she's going to create. And I think Pokimane is an amazing, interesting person. I think she and Maya are very similar in that they're both strong girls or women, if that's what you would say, but they both are headed in a strong direction. I think Pokimane is much more into playing video games, her business, herself, her friends, that kind of thing, where I think maybe Maya is more focused on a little bit more than just herself. But Pokimane definitely a great influence in some of the things I'm trying to do as well. She's entertaining. She's kind of hot, to be honest with you. She's very smart. She's very good at what she does. And somebody I've watched quite a few times. You know, I try not to. I'm not trying to simp or anything, but she does her thing. You know, and every once in a while I'll tune in just to see what she has to say. Like, see what she's talking about and her thoughts on things. You know, some of the stuff that's going on. Her thoughts on the Twitch leak. Her thoughts on all kinds of different things, especially when it comes to Twitch. A good person to turn to kind of gain some insight. Next would be Soda Poppin'. From what I understand, Soda Poppin' has got a lot of backlash in his chat. He made 1.4 million over the last 2 years, which is roughly like 750,000 a year. And from what I understand, he's had a lot of backlash in chat, but I'm not quite sure what that backlash is and what he's been going through. I know that he took some time off of streaming and then came back, and I've seen him in various places. All the stuff that they did with the camp kind of stuff with Ludwig and Cutie Cinderella and all these people. I've seen him in different groups, different circles. Watched his stream once or twice to kind of see what's going on, but again, maybe not my style, not my flavor, but seems like a decent dude, you know, pretty quick-witted, pretty smart, and from what I understand, really good at the games he's playing. So interesting to see what kind of backlash he's gonna get and what all these people are gonna get as well. I think next is the one that I think is very interesting, which would be Amaranth. She recently, from what I understand, she recently just got back from being banned from Twitch, and I think she is still banned from Instagram. She has been banned numerous times from Twitch for sexual and lewd conduct, and very well deserved. There's many times I've tuned into Amaranth to see what else is on Twitch. She basically helped create the hot tub and beach stream category. Her and I think 3 or 4 other people, Indie Fox, these kind of people. She has since moved on. You gotta give her credit. She's an innovator for sure. She's moved on into ASMR, which is auditory sense something. Chat, maybe you can help me out with this. What does ASMR mean? Anyway, so she has gotten into this. Personally, I don't care for it. I think it's extremely annoying. Again, she's hot. I get it. You know what I mean? You know, guys, you know, teenagers and guys are going to be watching, and she's hot, and I get that. I think the clicks and all the weird stuff that she does, licking like weird like microphones and stuff, is just very somewhat disturbing in some areas. Again, she's hot, don't get me wrong, I got you. I see that, got that, right? That's, you know, 80% of what's going on there. But at the end of the day, is like the content that you're consuming is like, maybe there's a little bit more to life kind of thing, you know? I can't imagine being there for more than 20 minutes, you know, or 30 minutes. But interesting that she is on the list at 1.3 million, which roughly breaks down to, I think, like 675,000 a year. I think probably a lot of that is because she keeps getting banned for pushing the envelope, and she is known to be the envelope pusher on Twitch. Again, she recently just came back from getting a ban. Interesting to see where that's going to go, and interesting to see, you know, how people are spending their money on Twitch. You know, if you're subbing to Amaranth, I don't know exactly, you know, maybe that is the definition of simp. I'm not exactly sure. But the next one would be Asfand. I've watched this guy a couple times. I think this guy is an undercover genius, okay? I'm going to tell you why. I think the guy's very smart. I watched a segment he did. He's been playing football, I think, on Thursdays now. He has secured being able to be the commentator for Thursday Night Football, which is on a whole different level of things. He is kind of funny. somewhat annoying. I can't imagine I'd watch too much of it, but he's a genius in the way that he plans content. One of the thing I thought was a genius. I'd love to do it myself, but it's kind of out of my repertoire. But he is playing Madden football, the video game, and he dresses up like a coach, and then he has a podium and a black screen, or a green screen, sorry, and he stands in front of the green screen like he's the coach, and he goes through the questions, and then in the halftime, he makes it to where he is like the coach giving a halftime speech, and it's genius. It's very good material. I gotta be honest. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And then at the end of the game, he stands at the podium, and people will do talk to speech, which is TTS. On Twitch, they'll pay 500 bits or whatever, and ask him a question, and he'll answer the question as if he's the head coach. Genius content. Very good content. Again, I think it was a little weird between him and this other girl that was staying with him for a long time. That was a weird dynamic. I think they both since moved on. And it seems like he's doing well. I'm interested to see if he can come up with something like that, kind of what might be next for that. Also, next we got Tubbo. Don't really know much about Tubbo. Tubbo seems pretty young from what I understand. I think he is like 16 or 15 or something. Again, not my type of content. Has a lot of people that watch him. Seems like a nice kid. I think I've seen him when he plays chess tournaments and stuff like that. I think I turned into a stream to watch. Very kid kind of humor kind of stuff. Again, not my style. The last one we're going to talk about is Kit Boga, I think is how you say it, with 900,000 over the last 2 years. That's roughly about 450,000 a year. This guy's amazing, and what he does is he goes after scammers, and he uses a voice box to make it sound like he's a different person. So like he might make it sound like he's an old man, and he's talking to a scammer, usually from India or wherever, and these people will call him and try to scam him out of money or gift cards or whatever, and as he's live on stream, he will mess with the scammer for hours, sometimes days, and end up giving them absolutely nothing. Sometimes he's even gotten to the point where he's hacked them and switched it around and put their cam on his computer as they've taken over his computer. He's hacked their camera, their system, got their webcam and put it up on his screen so that they can see themselves as they're trying to scam him, flip people out. He's busted scam rings. He has wasted hours and hours and days and weeks of people's scammers' time. To be honest with you, I think this guy's doing us all a service for people everywhere. So really like his content. Really think he's pretty good. So yeah, interesting numbers. One thing I want to break down here. I want to get a little bit deeper. And anybody that's watching on Twitch, we're gonna have time later on for questions and answers and all that kind of stuff. Just to let you know, we have that at the end. So you'll be able to ask questions. I'll answer some questions for you. You can say something that you believe on. If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify or Apple or iTunes or Overcast or Pocket Cast or any of those places, you want to come jump in the conversation, you can go to twitch.tv/The J.A.R.R.E.D Show and come jump in and watch the podcast live. So I'm going to just keep rolling here. I don't mean to ignore you or anything. I will get to the questions and these things here soon. One thing I want to do still in this first half is break down the numbers of the number one person, which would be number one person, not altogether. which is Critical Role. But the number one person would be XQC with a number of 8.4 million. So I want to break that down real quick, because I think the numbers, maybe you see 8.4 million, you say, okay, that's a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. I want to break this down to show you how much money this actually is, okay? And how crazy this amount truly is, right? So if you divide so this is August 2019 to October 2021. If you divide that and add up everything and go through the numbers, that's 772 days roughly, all right? So if you take 8.45 for the whole number and divide that by 772 days, you can figure out how much did this guy make per day. So per day, over the last a little over two years, right? So I think it's 26 months. Per day, XQC has made $10,951.33. I'm going to reiterate that. XQC has made $10,000, almost $11,000 per day, every day, for the past 26 months. Okay? Now here's where things get really interesting. If you divide that number, let's say, I think I went with 10,900. If you divide that by 24 hours, okay? Now XQC has a tendency he might stream for 40 hours straight. I've seen him do some really long streams. Nothing like Ludwig. I think he actually held the title of longest stream before Ludwig. But I've seen him on average, I've seen him stream a long time. Sometimes 16, 18, 20 hours, sometimes 24, sometimes 30, sometimes 36, sometimes 40. So let's look at how much, let's just say 24 hours. So if you divide, let's say $11,000 into 24 hours, how much is this guy getting per hour? So that is roughly $450 an hour, okay? And this is not including endorsements and deals. So, and again, the numbers are extremely rough because he's not necessarily streaming for 24 hours every day for the last 26 months, right? A lot of times he is taking off a day or two or three. Sometimes he's streaming for a day or two or three. So there's no real way to calculate. I would have to be able to look, how many hours did you stream? I don't know how many hours he streamed. So the only thing I can do is take that per day amount. And again, some days he didn't even stream, and divide that into 24 hours to see kind of how much he's making per hour, even if he's sleeping or even if he's still streaming for, 40 hours straight. And again, none of this is including endorsements and deals. So he's making at least $450, let's say $500 probably. Because if he's only streaming 12 hours, then he would be making double that. He'd be making $1,000 an hour, right? And if he's only streaming 8, you get the idea, right? So here's the thing. I think what's really interesting is I once watched XQC. I saw how many people were watching XQC, and I was like, what are 120,000 people? I'm going to get to that number in a minute. What are all of these people watching, right? And what are they watching, and why do I not have 125? I hate to break it to you if you're listening to this on a podcast. There's not 125,000 people here. I do appreciate that people are here. I appreciate you. But there's not that many people. So why are these people watching this and are not watching me? So I was once watching XQC, and this is what I saw. So XQC was working at a burger joint on Grand Theft Auto Online. So he's playing a video game online called Grand Theft Auto. He was working at this burger joint. Okay, so he was a fry cook in this burger joint on this game online, sitting in his house, working to make money on a video game while 120,000 people watched him, and he made $500 an hour doing that. So I want to reiterate this. I want to let this sink in and land, okay? So this guy is sitting at his house making $500 an hour while 120,000 people are watching him. Just to understand how much 120,000 people is, that's 6 basketball arenas. So if you've ever gone to a basketball game, imagine standing in the middle of that arena with all those 20,000 screaming fans. That's 6 of those arenas are watching this guy while he's making $500 an hour work at a burger joint on an online gaming system. What world are we living in right now? Seriously, here's some food for thought. The average salary of a teacher in the US is $64,000 a year. Okay? So I'm going to break this down for you real fast, right? That means that in the same time frame, so we're looking now, instead of 772 days, we're looking at 365 days. At 365 days, the average salary of a teacher in the United States is $174 a day. Now, again, if you use really stupid math, admittedly, and you say, let's divide that by 24 hours, that means that the teacher's making $7.25 an hour. Obviously, the teacher's not making $7.25 an hour. Generally, if you're working 8 hours and you're making around $20 an hour, you're looking at $160 a day. So probably a teacher makes roughly $20 to $22 an hour. Okay, but it's not $500 an hour or more. I mean, if you're not streaming 24 hours, then it would be, again, you can reduce the math and figure out it might be $1,000, it might be $2,000 an hour, right? So remember, this math is not correct, okay? This is just some very, very, very simple calculations. All these numbers vary so much, it's hard to match them up. But looking at this basic idea, this is extremely crazy. Just remember, here's what I want you to take away from all these numbers I just said, right? You can call me jelly or jealous if you want to. Like I said, I may be envious, but I'm going to get to that in a little while, okay? Here's what I want you to take away from those numbers, all right? The fact that XQC is playing a game and working at a burger joint online while 120,000 people watch him make $500 an hour. Here's what I want you to do. No matter what your age is, no matter what you got going on, I want you to remember the next time you walk into a classroom to thank your teacher for working so hard to help make your life better and not asking for a fucking thing in return, but to simply learn and grow and be the best person you can be. I want you to remember to do that, okay? Now, I want to move on. We're going to go over a little bit of Fallout. We've already talked about Hassan. The Fallout has been not that bad. I think a lot of people, I just connected some dots, hopefully, for you. Whether you be on Twitch, whether you be, listening to this podcast and maybe you've heard about Twitch, these kind of things. Hopefully I connected a little bit of dots there for you to get you to realize that these people are they're making a lot of money. I get that. And we're going to get to that point a little bit later on, especially when you get to the bottom line at the end of this podcast. But I think the fallout from this has been, oh my God, those people make a lot of money. At the end of the day, I don't think, hey man, that guy makes money, content is king. That's what it's all about. I think it's XQC, Ludwig, all these people never promised to not make money. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a problem at all. That's not the issue that we're talking about. I think I'm talking about more the audience than I am the streamer. But when you get into somebody like Hassan, who is a extreme leftist, which is basically a socialist, and you know, buying a $3 million house in the Hollywood Hills, that's when things get a little bit different. If you are, and again, I never got a chance, you know, I've only watched him a few times. Hassan has never really sat down and said, I'm a fucking communist. I don't know if he has or not. Maybe chat can help me out with that. If you've watched Hassan, I don't know just where that guy's at. But I think the backlash and the fallout of recognizing that this guy's making $2.8 million over the last 2 years, which is, I think, roughly about $1.5 million, and that's how he's capable of buying a $3 million house. The question you have to ask is, you know, okay, so what are you doing with the $1.5 million? You know, I think that's what most people are looking at. Everybody else, you know, the XQCs, the Ludwigs, everybody, right, that's not advocating, you know, redistribution of wealth and these kind of things, they're got their own thing going on. Hey, man, you made a bunch of money, go get a island somewhere or whatever you want to do, right? But I think when you've labeled yourself a socialist, I think that's when things are a little bit... Like when you're extreme left and you want to redo things and do this and do that, I think that backlash is hard to do. I think what's interesting, I've been to all of these people, you know, Pokimane, Hassan, and Mizkif, and all of these people's chat to see over the last week. That's why I waited to do this podcast, to see what's going on in their chat and what people are saying. And some people in the chat have said something, especially in Hassan. He was really dealing with, you know, almost like hyenas going at his throat kind of thing. And it was interesting how he handled it, which was basically shut the fuck up was the way that he handled it. It wasn't like explaining. It was more like, I'm an extreme leftist and I say this and da-da-da, and I didn't say that and I did. It was basically, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, was the way he handled it. Which is interesting. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, deny is how you get through a lot. You know, it's politician all day. That's how the politicians do things. But other than that, I've been in all these different people's chats and nobody seems to really give a shit. And I think we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. But it seems like a joke more than anything else. There's a YouTube channel that's popped up that the titles of the YouTube channel, the YouTube videos, are just the numbers of the streamers from the Twitch league. So the number 2, the number 39, the number 40, whatever, you know. And then, you know, combining that into like a joke or a sentence, you know, number 2 hangs out with number 5, you know, that kind of thing. I think it's become a farce very quickly, and I think that is a very interesting thing. Because if you can control the spin of information, then when something hits the fan and goes away, and I mean, you're talking this happened to Max less than 2 weeks ago. And from what I've seen in YouTube, in Twitch, on different places, different platforms, it doesn't seem to be a big deal. Now, I think I understand why, and like I said, we're going to get into that a little bit later. But it's very, very interesting. One thing that has hit the fan, and when we get back, I want to take a look at the glaring disparity between number 2 and number 39 on this list. And that's one thing that has hit the fan, and maybe it should have and maybe it shouldn't. We're gonna get into that right after this ad. We're gonna take a little break, be right back in just a minute. welcome back. You're listening to the J.A.R.R.E.D Talks podcast. This episode is all about the Twitch leak. Some things we have learned from the biggest live streaming platform being hacked, and the top earning 100 streamers list being put out there for everybody to take a gander at. We've already gone over some numbers. So we got into number 2 and number 39. So that has been the interesting thing that I think has cropped up here. And number 39 is Pokimane. She is from what I understand, I thought Valkyrie was actually higher earning than Pokimane, but apparently not. From what I understand, Pokimane is the highest earning female on Twitch over the past 26 months. I think this is where things get interesting. So, why is the top female earner on Twitch so low? And especially in PC culture, cancel culture, and all these kind of things, you're gonna hear a lot about the gender gap and the pay gap and all of these kind of things. I think there is validity to that point. Does it apply here? And is it because of her gender that Pokimane is number 39 on this list? No. Straight up. Nope. It's because of her audience. Okay? So I think a lot of people look at things in terms of the power structure of things, and this is something I want people to start to kind of change their perspective of a little bit. I'm going to talk about it a little bit here. Now, is it Pokimane's fault that she's 39th, right? Or is it XQC's fault that he's second, right? Is it XQC that ended up getting the $8.4 million? Or is it XQC's audience that gave XQC $8.4 million? Right? It's the same thing with Pokimane, right? It's her audience, the one that gave her $1.5 million. It's not, it doesn't have anything to do with gender. The only thing that has to do with gender, one of the biggest things that you can look at when it comes to Twitch, again, is the audience, is the disparity between how many male audience members there are and how many female audience members there are. And that right there will let you know. So if a male wants to watch another guy, right? A guy wants to watch another guy play a video game, that's what he's going to watch. Right? Now, if he wants to watch Pokimane or Amaranth or Indie Fox or one of the host of there's many women streamers, right? Valkyrie, there's a lot of different, Velcro Dot, I know is a favorite of one of the people in chat right now. It's up to the people to watch those people, and it's up to the people to give those people that sub or those bits or those donations, right? That is the difference, right? So when you see like, there's a pay gap there between male and female, it's an audience gap, right? That's the difference in this entire thing. I do think it's interesting, and before the break and in the first half, we were talking about the audience of XQC at 120,000 people, right? I don't think Pokimane is pulling 120,000 people. So I think it's very interesting that other guys, because if it's a predominantly male audience on Twitch, are wanting to watch other male streamer or watch male streamers rather than a Pokimane or a Valkyrie or Amaranth or an Indie Fox or a Velcro Dot or all of these kind of things, I think that says a lot in and of itself right there. As far as the pay gap goes and the wage gap between male and female, all of these kind of things, I think that is an interesting discussion, but I don't think it has any bearing in this particular, for instance, because what you're looking at is the payout from Twitch for the last 26 months. So I think that has been very interesting. What you're really seeing is people voting with their money. They want to watch XQC and not Pokemon. They're watching Ludwig and not Pokemon. They're watching 38 other people more than they're watching Pokemon. And I think that's what you're looking at. That's a lot of what these numbers are giving us. I think what's interesting, I think it's time that we got to know my side of things. So maybe you'd like to know how much I've made on Twitch so far. I'm gonna break down some numbers for you. So I started streaming on Twitch about roughly 30 weeks ago. I've been streaming 5 days a week for the past 30 weeks, and I've made roughly about $300. So if you take those numbers and we break them down kind of in this weird simplistic math that we did, I make about $1.50 a day. And at the end of the day, I make 50 cents an hour. And that's not including the endorsements I don't have. And the deals no one has offered me yet. Here's the thing. I stream 20 hours a week. Plus all the background work it takes to do this. So I'm writing this podcast last night. Creating the scenes that you're seeing. All the stuff that you're looking at. Creating the music playlist, setting up the green screen, lighting, camera work, editing, all of these things. It's not a lot of work. It's for 50 cents an hour. That's a lot of work. So am I a bit envious of these people making $200, $300, $400, $500 an hour? Maybe a little bit. I mean, when you make 50 cents an hour, I'm a little envious. But at the end of the day, here's the thing I recognize. I have something they don't. I have something that XQC doesn't have. I have something that maybe Ludwig, perhaps. Okay? I have something these people that really don't have. I have a purpose. I have a goal. I have a reason for streaming, podcasting, designing, editing, producing, posting, marketing, writing, and pretty much everything that goes into everything that I do. On top of the full-time job that I maintain during the day. The reason I do every single bit of this is for you. Everybody in Twitch chat right now. Everybody that's listening to this podcast. The reason I do this is because if I can reach one person and let them know how much they matter, how much they matter to God, my job is done. I may never be rich. I may never make $500 an hour. Even if I did, it's besides the point. The point is to reach people. And right now, we have a total of, it looks like 4 people here. But I'm trying. And what I want to say before we get into Q&A, we're about to get into Q&A here in just a minute. What I want to say is that I enjoy streaming. And, these people that are making their money and doing these things, that's on them. That's their thing. I'm going to get into the bottom line in just a minute. Now I think it's time. We have 4, 5, 6 people here to hear from the audience and see what they have to say. We'll open it up for questions and ideas. Let's see what we have here. And it looks like I want to go back and chat a little bit and read some of the things that people have said. So we started with XQC Got Us Canadians by Giver of Water, Sea-Dog. I'm guessing Giver is a fan of XQC. A lot of people are, understandably. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about and you're listening to this podcast somewhere, I am live streaming on twitch.tv. You can go jump in the conversation and talk with all these people and ask me questions during the Q&A session towards the end of the show. All you have to do is go to twitch.tv/The J.A.R.R.E.D Show, or go check in the link below. You can go check that out. So I'm going to kind of read through some of these. Luca said that she's smart but hella annoying. I think that came when I was simping, if you will, on our girl Pokimane. I like Pokimane a lot. Definitely not simp though. She is very smart. Hella annoying. I don't know about hella annoying. Maybe sometimes. Where ZPQ1 said, where this leak come from? You sure it's legit? As far as I know, it's legit. I don't know 100%. I think now taking as much information as you can, where you can get it, you know, what sources you trust and these kind of things. I've seen it everywhere, you know, in a lot of different places. So that's interesting. I would say yes. I think it's legit. Furious5, who is a regular, hello Furious. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's legit. Yeah, I don't watch much Hassan. All I know is he covers politics, it seems like. Yeah, I think Hassan is very much covered politics for many years. And again, from what I've seen from Hassan, he is a self-proclaimed extreme leftist. I'm not exactly sure, does that mean that he is a communist or a socialist or whatever. One of our favorite people, Svender Punk, which is actually on the door. You can see that later, a little bit later on the stream. Just tuning in, are we talking about female gap? No, we are not. What I was explaining is that a lot of people are trying to talk about the pay gap, the wage gap between genders when it comes to number 2 and number 39 in this list. And like I said, I don't think that plays a factor here. And Svender said, do you want to make more money than you could ever imagine? Working from home, being your own boss, I'll tell you how. Bet on the Titans to cover the spread tonight. Put all your money on it. Fury said, you'll get there, Jared, I believe. I hope so. It's all about hard work, you know? I truly believe that hard work and determination and persistence pays off, so we'll see how that goes. Spender said, does the $300 count donations? It does. And yeah, it does count donations. Giver said, these numbers aren't super accurate because most of these streamers also have sponsorships. For sure. Actually, they are getting... So they get paid not only from sponsorships, but they actually get paid from Twitch for exclusivity deals. So a deal from Twitch itself that says... as long as you stream on Twitch, we'll give you whatever. It could be as little as $10 or as much as, $1 million. You don't know. But yeah, definitely. I mean, they have sponsorships from G Fuel and Chess.com and McDonald's, and some really big heavy hitter deals from some really big corporations, and I'm guessing those are not in the hundreds. Those are probably in the thousands. So Svender said, I think I gave you like 30% of your income then. Actually, Svender, probably more than that, but I do appreciate you. You, especially when you first came into the chat, you were extremely generous, and I do appreciate you. I've been here for quite some time. So yeah, if there's no more questions, or looks like ZPQ1 said the lockdown made a high peak of user those years. And Giver Water said that you should get a chess.com sponsorship. Giver, I have tried to do that, still in the midst, and trying to secure that. So I think that's going to do it for the Q&A. Here's the bottom line to the whole thing, as we do for every episode. The bottom line is... Oh, before we do the bottom line, actually, it looks like Svender has donated 2,000 bits. I appreciate you, Svender. Thank you very much. If you're not sure what bits are, that would be $20. So thank you, Svender. Appreciate you, bud. Let's get to the bottom line. So the bottom line is very simple. So XQC made $8 million. Pokey made $1.5 million, and I made $300. Content is king. And that's what it comes down to. The Twitch leak only gave us numbers to go with an idea we already knew. That streamers are making a lot of money playing video games for a living. Not me, of course, but some streamers are making a lot of money playing video games for a living. Let's not forget that Twitch made a tidy sum off all those people as well. I know they take half of everything I get. What I think is interesting isn't the numbers when it comes to money, it's the amount of viewers each streamer has. 120,000 people is like 6 basketball arenas watching one person. My question is this: what is that one person doing with the time that they have those people watching? Working as a fry cook at a burger joint on some online game? Content is king. And if that's the content that gets the crown, I guess I'll just have to remain wearing nothing but my hair, because I just can't do that. So we really didn't learn anything new here. Some people are getting rich. A platform like Twitch is making money, and yeah, I got it. I think what we were given with this new information was a choice or a decision. To pay attention to people that are invested in helping you somehow, some way. People like me, people like your parents or your teachers, or even your friends. A choice to help support those people and give back. Maybe it's showing up in my chat with a kind word, a few bits, or a sub. Maybe it's bringing your teacher a card to say thank you for all the hard work they put in. Maybe it's helping around the house to show your parents that you see how hard they work to keep a roof over your head and food on the table, and maybe, just maybe, it's a smile, some kind words, and a great big hug for a friend that could probably use one. Just to let them know, hey, I see you. Thanks for having my back. Just remember that you matter. What you say, what you do, and what's going on inside of you, it matters. So don't take yourself lightly. Be humble, be strong, do good things. And I think that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you for listening wherever you may be. And a special thanks to all the chatters in the chat room. Thank you, Furious5, Svender, Giver, ZPQ. Appreciate you, peoples. Again, if you would like to watch this podcast live and join in the discussion, you can go to twitch.tv/The J.A.R.R.E.D Show. Jump right in. If you missed an episode, want more content, want to get some cool stuff, or just curious, you can go check out thej8rdshow.com. There you'll find the podcast, the store, links to just about everything, including social media, the YouTube channel, this live stream as well. Speaking of the live stream, we're going to keep things going, and we'll see you next time.